When the boss smiled and quietly asked, "Is your bed big enough for two?" The single dad thought she was joking, until he realized she was risking everything just to choose him. Ethan Carter never imagined his life would be measured in bedtime stories, unpaid bills, and the quiet breathing of his 6-year-old daughter asleep beside him. Every night, after tucking Lily in, he lay awake on the far edge of the mattress they shared, staring at the ceiling, wondering how long he could keep holding everything together without breaking. His bed wasn't big, his apartment wasn't fancy, and his life certainly wasn't easy, but it was honest, and for Ethan, that had to be enough. 3 years earlier, Ethan's world collapsed the day his wife walked out, leaving behind nothing but a note and a silence that screamed louder than any argument. She said she needed freedom. Ethan was left with responsibility. He became both mother and father overnight, learning to braid hair with shaky fingers and cook dinners that were often burnt but always served with love. Every decision he made was for Lily. Every sacrifice was silent. The job at Hawthorne Solutions was supposed to be temporary, just something to keep the lights on. Ethan started as a maintenance supervisor, the kind of man people noticed only when something broke. He fixed leaky pipes, faulty elevators, flickering lights. He worked late, came in early, and never complained, because complaining didn't buy school shoes or pay daycare fees. That's how he met Claire Hawthorne. Claire wasn't just the boss, she was the CEO. Young, sharp, and respected, she carried the weight of a billion-dollar company on her shoulders. People thought she was cold because she didn't laugh easily. They didn't see the exhaustion behind her eyes, or the loneliness she hid behind perfectly tailored suits and professional smiles. Their first real conversation happened late one evening when Ethan was repairing a burst pipe on the executive floor. Claire had stayed late, reviewing reports, unaware of the chaos flooding the hallway until water crept toward her office door. Ethan showed up soaked, sleeves rolled up, working with calm efficiency. When she thanked him, he just nodded and went back to work. No flattery, no fear, just respect. Something about that stayed with her. Over the weeks, small moments turned into quiet connections. She noticed how he always declined after-work drinks, how he rushed out at exactly 6 p.m. One night she asked why. "My daughter," he said simply. "She waits for me." That single sentence softened something in Claire that had been locked away for years. Claire began finding excuses to cross his path. She brought coffee to the maintenance room, asked about Lily, really listened when Ethan talked about parenting struggles, about feeling invisible, about nights when he felt like he was failing despite trying his hardest. Ethan, meanwhile, never forgot who she was. She was his boss, untouchable, out of reach. A woman who lived in a world far removed from shared beds and second-hand furniture. So when she smiled one evening after a long company event and said softly, almost teasingly, "Is your bed big enough for two?" he laughed nervously, assuming it was a joke. But Claire didn't laugh. The room fell silent. Ethan searched her face and realized this wasn't playful. This was vulnerable. This was dangerous. She wasn't asking about furniture. She was asking about space. In his life. In his heart. He swallowed hard, fear and hope colliding in his chest. "Only if you're the one beside me," he replied, his voice barely steady. Claire exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for years, but neither of them realized that this moment, this single, honest exchange was about to test everything they believed about love, sacrifice, and worth. She had power, money, and the world at her feet, but when the single dad chose his daughter over her, the boss realized love isn't about status, it's about staying. The rumors didn't take long to spread. A CEO and a maintenance supervisor. Whispers followed them down hallways. Board members questioned Claire's judgment. HR scheduled meetings. Ethan felt the weight of judgment pressing into his chest every time someone looked at him like he didn't belong. Claire tried to shield him, but Ethan wouldn't let her fight his battles alone. One evening, Lily overheard a tense phone call between Ethan and a school administrator discussing unpaid fees. She tugged at his sleeve later that night, eyes full of worry. "Daddy, am I the reason you're always tired?" Ethan knelt and pulled her into his arms, tears burning behind his eyes. "You're the reason I'm strong," he whispered. That night, Ethan made the hardest decision of his life. He went to Claire's office and handed in his resignation. "I won't let my presence cost you your career," he said, "and I won't let my daughter grow up watching her dad be talked about like he doesn't deserve love." Claire stared at him stunned. She had everything, yet in that moment she felt like she was losing the one thing that mattered. She didn't beg. She didn't argue. Instead, the next morning, Claire walked into a board meeting and made a decision that shocked everyone. She announced a new leadership restructuring, stepping down temporarily as CEO, handing operational control to the board. Gasps filled the room. "I won't build a company that punishes love," she said calmly. "If success costs me my humanity, it's too expensive." Weeks passed. Ethan struggled. Money was tight. Nights were long. But something had changed. He felt lighter, stronger, more whole. One evening there was a knock at his apartment door. Claire stood there. No suit. No title. Just a woman holding grocery bags and hope. "I don't need a corner office," she said softly. "I need a home. And I'm asking, is there room?" Ethan looked back at Lily, who smiled brightly and whispered, "Daddy, she feels warm." He stepped aside. The bed was still small. Life was still uncertain. But love had made space. That night, as Lily slept between them, Claire rested her head on Ethan's shoulder. No power, no hierarchy, just two people choosing each other. Because the bed was never about size. It was always about who stayed. Inspiring message, implicit for viewers. Love doesn't ask what you own, asks who you protect. True wealth is found not in power or status, but in the courage to choose each other, even when the world says you shouldn't.